All right, so again, we're going to go over the stuff that's in here. As I mentioned to you previously, for this last one, the index file, to my knowledge, does not change at all. The style.css only changed right here. We put a background color for the body. So let's take a quick look at this. Now, all this stuff that you see right here, everything up till that point is the same as the stuff we've talked about. So I'm not going to discuss any of that. All right. This is in about. So if we look at it, let's just bring it up here and take a look at it. Oh, that's pretty nifty. All right, so you can see it has the brand on the top that we had before with the home. Notice now that the active page is the about page. See how that's darker? You should always do that. It just makes it nicer for the user. If I go home, now the dark goes on the home page. See that? Again, it's not that it's not a big thing really. All right, but here's the about, and you'll notice it still has the stuff at the bottom. So the only thing I want to talk about is this, which is what's in the middle, our content area. So in other words, as we look at this rather, okay, we've still got the navigation, so all that stuff is the same. So in other words, everything that we have in these first 80 lines is basically the same thing as what we had on the home page. Does that make sense to everyone? Because that's the stuff on the top. All right? And also, everything that's on about page 155 down, that's the same because that's the stuff on the bottom. So the only thing that we have to concentrate on are approximately lines about 81 here through about 150, so about 70 lines. I guess I could have had you type those in, all right, but it's still fine. But this is what I want to show you here, is if you look at it from the top, you'll notice we've got a container. The ID is slideshow. Now, these are common names to use, but to my knowledge, there's nothing special about the word slideshow. Everybody hear that? But it is what we are creating. Sometimes they call these a slideshow. Sometimes they're called a carousel. Sometimes they're called a slide carousel. It really and truly, in the end, doesn't matter. All right. But when you come in here, you'll notice the class that we're using is carousel slide. That is a Bootstrap. Those are two different Bootstrap classes. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember what the data ride is that says carousel. I don't remember what that is. But you know now, you know enough about this that if we come out here and we open up a new tab and we say Bootstrap version 3, all right, and we look that sooner or later, when you start to look through the versions 3 documentation, that someplace in here, they have a large section on the carousel, all right? And as I mentioned before, and I'm not saying this to make an excuse, this is not an excuse. I don't remember all this stuff because it's been 3 or 4 months since I've looked at it, all right? And I just don't remember it. Okay, then we've got our indicators. Notice 0, 1, and 2. What that's doing is it's putting those 3 dots basically at the bottom, which allows you to choose the first slide, the second slide, or the third slide. One thing you've got to learn, I may have mentioned this in earlier classes, I may not have, I don't remember, but the old joke is ask a computer programmer to count to 10, and she or he says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because virtually everything that we're going to do is going to be 0 based. We'll work with arrays in JavaScript. We'll work with arrays next semester. We'll work with arrays in ASP.NET. We'll work with arrays in Java. Those are 0 based, meaning that the first element that's in there is element 0. Okay, so when you start to create something, now that drives people nuts Because, for example, what if I had a thing called months? Does that mean that month 0 is now January and month 11 is December? No. No. Month 0, you leave blank. So then month 1 becomes January, etc. So there's ways of getting around all of this stuff. All right? So it's telling us to slide 2, slide 0, slide 1, or slide 2. All right? Then, as you can see in here, and I tried to come up with slides that were basically the same size. This can look really funky if you've got slides of different sizes. Now, what I should have really done in here, if you look when we have our divs, we've got our images, we've got our source, probably should have said in here this. What is it? I don't think if you put that in, I don't think it's going to make it look any different. But get used to putting this in for all of your images. Because what that will do is it will attempt to always make your image fit the size of the media in which you are putting it. Does that make sense? All right. But if you look at each one of these, you've got an image, you've got an alt tag, you've got a width, you've got a height. Image, alt tag, width, and height. Technically, since all of the widths and all of the heights on these images, since for all three they're 6,000 by 4,000, we could have given each one of these images their own class and called them something, and then put the 6,000 and the 1,000 into the CSS. Did everybody hear what I just said? All right. It would have actually been better to pull the width and the height here out and put them into the CSS. So we could have come in here and set up a class that was called, I don't know, big image. And then we could have come in here and said height. I don't remember what they were. 4,000 pixels. With 6,000 pixels. That would have been a cleaner way to do it. Then if we did that, we would have had to have come in for each one of these and put in here class equal big image. And if we did that, we could get rid of this. Does that make sense to everyone? That's considered a better way of doing it because we're putting less CSS related stuff in our actual HTML file. All right, so I'm just very quickly going to put that into each one of these. And I'm going to just remove that class that we had for the first one, that image responsive, and just put in this. All right, and if it worked, you'll know right away. So if we bring up our home page and we switch right away to our about page and it doesn't look any different, then it worked. All right. And taking a quick look, that one looks okay. That looks okay. And that looks okay. All right. That is considered to be a much cleaner way of doing things. And the reason I'm telling you that is you're going to hear about that. Maybe not so much next semester, but you'll hear about it in the third semester, and you'll hear about it in the fourth semester. All right? So when we come back in here for this about page, this is setting up the carousel. So again, each one has their own image, an alt tag, in that class we just put in a big image. This H3 that's on the bottom here, that's got right down below the image, it says sunrise or sunset or leaf or whatever. All right? And then what do we have here? Well, you may or may not have figured it out. This chevron left, this one is that, and the chevron right is that. Does that make sense? Those are just the things on the side, so you're able to go forward an image or backward an image. Okay? So that's what's being done in here. That's our left carousel control and our right carousel control. And that's everything. All right? So that's 30 points. And I mean, I'm going to give everybody in here the 30 points. Hopefully yours all work, but you've gone through the trials and tribulations, such as they were, to get this done. All right? Now, I've got an email in to my counterpart in St. Louis, Evan, and I'm hoping he gets back to me, because by tomorrow, if he doesn't, I'm going to create my own midterm. All right? And I will give that to you tomorrow. Okay? But for the rest of the period today, what we're going to do next, I'm going to turn off the tape player. We're going to go through the Chapter 12 test review. All right? Then we're going to quickly look again at Chapter 11. Tomorrow, when you come in here, we're going to do two things. The first thing we're going to do is you're going to take the written test for Chapter 11. Okay? That's the first thing we're going to do. Second thing we're going to do is if you have downloaded the mobyrise.com package, you can go and do that with me as we create this thing we just created in MobyRise. If you don't want to download it or you don't want to do that, you can watch me do it. That should take somewhere in the area of a half an hour. So my hope is that tomorrow by about 9, well, maybe 9:30, okay, that the last 2 hours you'll have, that if you're still working on this responsive design sheet, you'll be able to work on that. If you still have 7 or 9 to do, you'll be able to work on that. And if you've got all that done, and a few of you do, I can give you the midterm. All right? And then Friday, we will take the written test for Chapter 12, and the rest of the period will be lab. Everybody hear that? Then starting next week, we will go into Chapter 13, and we will do Chapter 14. So I'm going to lecture on 13 on Monday, and then we'll go over the test review, and then lab. I'm going to lecture on, and then Tuesday, we'll have the written test. Then I'll lecture on Chapter 14. We'll do the review. Okay? Wednesday, we'll take the written test for Chapter 14. Thursday and Friday will be lab all period for you to work on this midterm. And I'm probably looking right now at making it due a week from Monday, which will be the 9th. And at that time, you can come in and start bringing in your other book, because we're going to start on the fun world of programming. All right, on that day, we're going to start writing JavaScript. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the semester. All right, questions? All right, so I'm going to stop the tape here.